Welcome to this day when time shifts around us. Welcome on this morning when you can feel the snow stepping toward us. Welcome to this beginning of this week when we think about luck and unluck. This week when we have lived through loss and love and all that is lovely and all of our longings. And we gather ourselves up and we gather ourselves in here, hopeful and hungry for our better angels, hungry that we won't be disappointed, hungry that someone will see our struggles and our brilliance. It is not simple or easy, but we gather here to hold on to the transformation of the soul, the opening of the heart, one petal at a time. And somewhere in all of the change and the pain, there is joy, like a flash of green in the woods that is waiting for us to find it. This morning I will light our chalice in honor of John Morgenthau, who died on Saturday after a rather sudden pneumonia. And the last time he was in church, he talked about our chalice. That was really the last thing he said to us collectively, appreciating how it was old and still had something of value to give us. And next to it this morning, there are two small bowls that he made out of apple wood from Apple Annie's. And I have a couple of bowls that he made also. So we'll tell a little more of his story next week. His family wanted to get to be here with this community that he loved so much when we took a moment to tell stories about him, and it can't be here this morning. So next week, we'll light a candle and tell stories. If you have a John Morgenthau bowl that you'd like to bring in and add to the circle up here, bring him in next week. We are grateful to have had him in our lives for almost 97 years. I invite you to join in singing a song with energy and welcome, which is certainly something John Morgenthau embodied. Enter, rejoice, and come in. 361. I have a pot up here that next week will hopefully be filled with leprechaun gold. Another sacred vessel. You'll have to stop by and see after the service if you can see it from where you are.
Kendra's doing her weightlifting this morning.
I'm hoping it will be filled with leprechaun gold next week. Although, if you know anything about leprechaun gold, you know that it is a slightly hazardous substance. Or maybe I should say unpredictable. So this morning I want to tell you one story about leprechaun gold. And this is a story by Pamela Duncan Edwards called The Leprechaun Gold. This story happens a long, long time ago, before your great-great-grandparents were born, in a town in Ireland. And in this town there is a harp player named Pat. And Pat has played the harp for so long that she's just called Old Pat now. She has played for so many weddings, and there's been so much joyful dancing for her harp playing. And also in this town there is a young man named Tom, who thinks he is the finest harpist around. Of course, he learned to play the harp from Pat. She taught him everything that she knows, and he too has made many a wedding and other event joyful with his playing. But he was sort of, well, he thought he was the better player, and spoke down on Pat because Pat would play for people even if they didn't really have the money to pay as much as one was supposed to pay. She just wanted there to be music and joy. So it might gone on like this for a long time in this town, until an invitation came out from the King and Queen of Ireland saying, "We are looking for a royal harpist. We invite everyone who plays to come to the castle, and we want everyone to play, and we'll choose someone to be the royal harpist of Ireland." Well, Pat saw this invitation and thought, "Oh, wouldn't that be fun? I think I'll go." And Tom, of course, was there also and said, "Well, of course, they'll be wanting a young man like myself for such a role." So they both decided to go, and they decided to travel together, Tom hoping that Pat would bring along enough food to share. So they started out the next morning and walked all day, and at nightfall they set up camp and built a little fire, shared a meal and some tea, and afterwards they started to play a little bit. Tom played first, and then old Pat brought out her harp and played, and Tom had a bad feeling when he sat there by the fire in the dark, listening, a bad feeling that maybe he wasn't going to win this contest to be the royal harpist. So when Pat turned away at one point, he reached over and broke one of the strings on her harp. And when Pat came back to play, she discovered that her harp was broken and she didn't have the money to buy another string. So she said, "Well, guess I won't win the royal harpist role, but it will be wonderful to go and be with all these musicians." And as they sat and looked into the fire, they heard out past the trees in the dark a little call of, "Help!" They both looked up. And then they heard it again, "Help!" And Pat said, "Sounds like somebody's in trouble. Maybe we should go help." And Tom said, "I know that's a small voice. That's someone in the wee people. We don't want anything to do with that." Pat said, "Well, but they're in need. Help!" Tom said, "That is definitely a wee person. I have a concert to play tomorrow, and I'm not going out into the dark to get into who knows what mischief with these people." Pat understood, because you know the leprechauns and the fairies, you just don't know what's going to happen. But then it came one more time, "Help!" So Pat got up and left the circle of the fire and went out into the dark. And listened, "Help!" and followed the call over the rocks and among the hedges, and finally found indeed a very small person with a leg down a hole, saying, "Help!" Pat said, "What's happened to you?" And this little wee person said, "Well, I stopped here to take off my shoes because I've been walking all day, and something grabbed me and is trying to pull me down the hole. It's got me by the toe." And Pat leaned down and sure enough could hear underground something rustling, trying to pull the little person underground. Pat thought and got down low again, right close to the hole, and barked like a fox. And there was quite a bit more rustling underground, and the little person jumped free and said, "Ah, you've done it, old Pat!" Well, Pat had not met this little one before and wondered how this little one, who was now clearly a leprechaun, knew who she was. She decided not to ask any questions and just said, "Ah, I'm glad you're all right. I haven't much, but if you'd like to come back and warm yourself by the fire, I can make you a cup of tea." So the leprechaun followed Pat back to the fire and said, "I'm much obliged to you, I'm much obliged. Really like to repay you for your help." And Pat said, "Oh, no, you really don't need to, because repayment sounds like leprechaun gold, which is, you just don't want to go there." Well, they got back to the fire, and there was just the fire burning down, and no young Tom and his harp, which the leprechaun observed immediately. "Ah, I see your traveling companion has decided not to stay." Pat shrugged. That's how it goes sometimes. The leprechaun said, "Well, maybe he just wasn't feeling brave today. Now, I'd really like to repay you. And Pat just ignored that and made a cup of tea and served it to the leprechaun, who warmed his feet by the fire. Then Pat pulled out her broken harp and began to play it. She was good enough, she could play around a broken string. It wasn't the same, but it was still lovely. And the leprechaun loved it. Leprechauns do love music. And the leprechaun said, "You are a fine harp player, but your harp is in a bad way." Pat said, "Well, I broke a string, and I don't really have money to get a new one before playing for the king and queen tomorrow, so I'm just going to go and enjoy the music." And the leprechaun said, "So it's the leprechaun gold you're wanting then?" No. He said, no, thank you. And the leprechaun said, "No, it is. It's the leprechaun gold you're wanting." And before Pat could protest again, she just felt so tired. She just kind of slumped over and just fell asleep right by the fire there. And dreamed, well, she couldn't remember when she woke up, but they were unusual dreams. And when she woke up, she looked around with a start because you don't want to fall asleep in the presence of a leprechaun because you just don't know what's going to happen. But it appeared that nothing had happened. The fire burned down. She picked up her things and she went on toward the castle to play, and mostly to listen, in the contest to be the royal harpist. And she could hear the crowd as she got closer, and she could hear the other harpists beginning to take their turns playing. And shortly after she got into the crowd, she could see young Tom step up to begin to play his harp very proudly. And it was lovely as he played. And then a little while into his song, one of the strings broke. And then he kind of, played around it, and then another one broke. And then pretty soon they all broke. And the strings were just springing around in the air. And Tom knew what had happened. He hung his head and he tucked his harp under his arm. And he just muttered, "Oh, the leprechauns." So someone else came up and took a turn and played, and then old Pat thought, "Oh, maybe I'll just play along a bit." And she opened up her bag and pulled out her harp. But this was not her harp. This was a different harp because it was gold. All gold, with a beautiful pattern all around the outside. And she picked it up, and it was both heavy and light at the same time. She put her fingers to the strings and thought, "These feel so comfortable, but I've never played them." So she decided that she would step up and play for the king and queen after all. She thought maybe she knew what had happened too. And so she took the next turn to play for the king and queen. And that harp was a beautiful harp. And she played it beautifully. And everyone knew that this was old Pat's day. This was the music, and this was the harp. And everyone stood up and began to dance around the courtyard. And the king and queen, after a long time of dancing, said, You, Pat, are the royal harpist. We are delighted to have your harp and your music and you. And somewhere out at the edge of town, that cousin to the Tomta was out there chuckling with delight. approaching snow now. The world is beautiful when it snows, and you start to worry a little bit about the slipping and sliding and dangers of snow. And like all things, that's sort of a quintessential metaphor for life. The beautiful and the hazardous and unpredictable that we have to grapple with every day, every stage of life. So we make this time to hold that, to notice what's beautiful, to notice what's really hard, to hold the grief that can't even be spoken, and to celebrate the dancing, the golden harps that just appear in the world. If you have joy or sorrow unfolding in your life that you would like to put into words here in this listening community, here in this beautiful snowfall, come stand with me so we can hear you.
Hi, I'm Nancy Fiske. My joy was listening to On Being this morning, and if you don't listen to it, every Sunday morning from 7 to 8 on NHPR, it's church before you come to church. It's wonderful. And just the line that stuck with me this morning that I'm going to hang on to is to love reality. I keep trying to fight reality. I'm not ever. Just love reality. My new mantra.
Good morning. I'm Jim Weber, and I have a spontaneous joy which I have written out. Over many years. My joy is I'm entering into a new role in life, perhaps a quixotic one. I'm being inspired to do so by Kendra's sermons over the last several months, especially those dealing with resolving long-standing interpersonal conflicts, which I'm doing and which block my progress, and understanding one's gifts and putting them to work, which I will do. I am an abstract thinker, a collector of ideas, and a button maker. My joy is I'm working with colleagues to form a new institute of higher education dedicated to teaching adults how to think in interdisciplinary ways. For example, at Harvard, climate change, as an academic specialty, consists of 19 disciplines, none of which talk to each other. Fields of study include forests, oceans, economics, nuclear energy, and so on, each with their own way of thinking. Yes, as the Harvard website states, climate change is one of the most complicated and challenging problems the world has ever faced. To face and resolve these conflicts, problems such as climate change, one needs to learn ways to integrate insights from separate disciplines. That's what this new institute is about, creating transdisciplinary thinkers. My joy is we have our first PhD student starting in September. My sorrow, she's on scholarship.
Good morning, I'm Laura Hillier. I have a joy. I was here last night for the contra dance. Thank you, Brad, for the music and everybody. There weren't a whole lot of people, there were very few people. I'd never gone to one. Alex and Lonnie came, and Alan came, and I had a blast. There weren't a lot of people to really dance around. I couldn't keep track. At the same time, I was getting dizzy, so I'm bringing Jim with me, but I'm going back next time. I was also excited because I was out on a Saturday night. It's been a long time since I've had the energy and wanted to go out on a Saturday night. And I woke up still happy and feeling great. So looking forward to going back again. And Alex also wanted me to tell you he's beginning his soccer season now, and he's very excited. So, thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'm Emily, and this is Lily, and Lily has a joy that she wants to share.
I love my family.
I love my family.
She said, "I love my family," if you couldn't quite hear her. That's a
Got
joke.
a baby.
Good morning, Wayne Wasigian. My sorrow is that I just realized I won't be here next Sunday when John Morgenthau's family will be here. My joy is that I'm here today, so I will take this opportunity to tell the story of those two bulls. It was pruning season. John had said he'd like to work with applewood, so I said, fine, I'll bring some applewood over to you. And he created those two bowls from an apple Annie tree. And then he offered to have them in the church auction. And I think it was in the silent auction. And per his request, he said, let's put both bowls there. The winner can choose the bowl that he or she likes best. And I want to give them an option rather than just one bowl. I'll take the second bowl back. Lori and I were the high bidders, and she liked one bowl and I liked the other. You probably can guess who won that discussion. Johnny was privy to that dialogue, so I forget how many days passed. I'm walking on the sidewalk, and a car pulls up, and it's John Morgenthau, and he hands me the second bowl.
I'm Dave Zarmak, it's my wife Janet, and I have to first apologize to Janet for listening to me talk too much about retirement the last few years, maybe the last 10 years. So my retirement date's March 27th. The other news is, if all goes well, Janet will be retiring at the end of May. We're under contract in a house in Acadia, so in the final stages. This has been our home since we moved here 23 years ago. We'll surely be back, but you'll all be missed.
But if it goes through and if all goes as planned and we get the house, you guys are all welcome. And
And then we'll be staying with you back here.
Good morning, my name is Maggie Kaliga, and I have a joy and a really deep sorrow. My joy was I spent my 60th birthday, I never ever thought I'd be 60, on the beaches of Southwest Florida digging for shark's teeth, 100 million year old shark's teeth that were just there, and shells, and just being with my family, which was delightful. But my deep sorrow is, I have to tell a little story ahead of time. I'm the youngest of 4 children. My oldest sister is 18 years older than I am, so we were worlds apart. She was 18 when I was born, and I was a thorn in her side because her and her boyfriend had to babysit me instead of going out on Saturday nights. And so we've been estranged for a very long time. Her husband never liked me because of that, and always was happy to tell me that, I really was a drag at the beginning of their relationship. But she suffered a massive brain event. She had a bleed that took her very quickly on Monday. And I have struggled all week, and I've talked to my other siblings who have memories of her that I don't, and I don't share with her. I remember her bringing her kids to my parents' house and playing with the kids and not interacting with her. So it's been a hard week for me. I went back and looked at pictures, and I don't even have pictures of her and I together. When I was a baby, yes, her holding me and with a face, And I could see right from there that's where it started. So I will be gathering with all the family this coming Friday. And I had a dream last night that I sat in the back pew because I had no reason to interact with the family, and it deeply saddens me. So I'm hoping that maybe Friday will be more joyful for me, that my siblings will share stories with me so that I can share their memories, not having my own.
A lot happening in people's lives. Sorrows and sweetness, relationships stretching and deepening. I invite you to take a breath of peace together, to hold all of this, to love this reality just as it is.